Would you say that you are effervescent, voluptuous, disheveled, or maybe you have prominent features? Let's find out, because I'm going to teach you some advanced vocabulary that you can use to talk about someone's appearance. And these are incredibly descriptive words. And if you're someone who enjoys building your vocabulary, please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes. The channel is Interactive English. It's all about helping you reach your fluency goals. So let's begin on a positive note, and I want to start with some words that really have a positive connotation. And the first word that I have for you is effervescent. This means active, positive, full of energy. So really you have a very positive appearance. And of course this is not the most commonly used adjective, but it is more advanced, and it's always good to add a little flavor to your English fluency. I could say her effervescent smile lit up the room. Or even during tough times, he remained effervescent and optimistic. And there are some useful collocations with this adjective. These are words that are frequently used together, and I'm talking about some adjective-noun collocations. Perhaps you're referring to someone's effervescent personality, or maybe their effervescent charm, or effervescent energy, or even effervescent spirit. Here are some more examples.
Also, you need to find someone educated and friendly and fun.
Just tell us the damn word.
Effervescent. He needs to be effervescent.
Something's different. You're all effervescent and glowy.
Then there's dapper. I like this word. It means neat and stylish. And often you're going to use this to talk about a man. I like to think that I sometimes look dapper, but yeah, that's not always the case. But I could say he looked dapper in his tailor-made suit. One thing I want to point out with this word is that it's often going to follow the verb look in saying that someone looks dapper. So here are some fun images of animals that look quite dapper. All right, yeah, they definitely look neat and stylish. And of course that cat looks dapper, but not very happy.
Wow, you look very dapper, like a Frank Sinatra.
Don't you look dapper?
When I thought it was right to buy something special for the occasion.
Oh, that's the one. Very dapper, Dr. Shepard.
Glowing. This describes someone who is looking radiant, happy, and healthy. Now, most of the time you're going to use this word to describe a woman, but that may not always be the case. Perhaps I say, you look amazing, you're glowing. Now, one thing I want to point out is that often people may use this word to refer to someone's complexion. Maybe your skin is really healthy, you're well hydrated. And in this case, I am never glowing, but I could say her cheeks were glowing. And then something else to keep in mind is that you could use this adjective to refer to a pregnant woman. And this is maybe a little bit more slang, pregnancy glow. Let me give you some more examples.
God, you are glowing. Your skin is glowing. Really? Yeah.
He just told me that you're pregnant.
Congratulations, you're glowing.
I can already tell you're not a virgin anymore. You're glowing. No.
How do you look so good with all this stress? Glowing. You actually look younger. What did you do?
Then there's voluptuous. This word describes someone who is curvy and sexually attractive. Now, most of the time you're going to use this adjective when describing a woman. In general, women who have larger breasts or hips, I could say the model's voluptuous figure stole the show. So just remember that if you describe someone as voluptuous, it implies that you are attracted to this person.
You said she was very beautiful and voluptuous.
Artists would only paint big, voluptuous women.
Lousy American-made dog. Why must I be so voluptuous?
The next word is striking. I like this word. It's very descriptive. It means exceptionally noticeable or attractive. And quite often you're going to use this adjective when complimenting someone's eyes. And you could use it when talking about a man or a woman. His striking blue eyes caught everyone's attention. And there are some great collocations with this word: striking beauty, striking appearance, striking features, striking eyes, or a striking resemblance. This word may also be used as an adverb with other very common and useful collocations if you were to say that someone is strikingly beautiful or strikingly handsome.
I just want to take time to say thank you for my family, my two beautiful, handsome, striking sons.
Madame will notice the striking beauty of this gown, matched by her own striking beauty.
I have a daughter who runs fast and a son who runs blind. Your eyes bear a striking resemblance to both.
Then we have chiseled. This refers to someone who has clear and well-defined facial features. And really, you're going to use this word when talking about a man, and it makes me realize that nobody's ever used this adjective to describe me. That I guess I don't really have any chiseled features, but that's okay. I could say his chiseled jawline gave him a striking and timeless look like a movie star from a classic film. So once again, there are some useful collocations with this word describing someone who has a chiseled jawline or chiseled cheekbones or perhaps even a chiseled physique.
You're just so hot and chiseled.
Yeah, he's in the shower, soaping up his incredibly chiseled physique.
We have so much in common. Magnetic charm, chiseled jawline.
Let's move on to some words that have more of a neutral connotation. They're just simply descriptive. When talking about someone's appearance, they don't really imply anything that may be complimentary or disparaging. So in that case, I could describe someone as broad-shouldered, and this just means having wide shoulders. Often you may use this when talking about a man, but that's not always the case. I could say, despite his broad-shouldered appearance, he had a gentle voice and warm smile. Now it is descriptive, and I'll be honest, you may hear someone use it in a context that is a bit more positive, just because of the look, because you look more confident when you have broad shoulders versus the sloping shoulders. Broad shoulders, sloping shoulders. It's always good to get a visual.
Someone's gonna have to go down in there. Someone with narrow shoulders.
No, I have broad shoulders. I have narrow hips, but broad shoulders.
I don't know. He's sweet, he's tall, handsome.
Broad shoulders, good hair.
Wonder what she sees in Leonard.
The next word is stocky. This describes someone who is short and solidly built. Often you're going to use it when talking about a man, and really what you're saying is that it's not just fat, there really is some muscle there. So here's an example. Was DC's short and stocky build an advantage for his fighting style? So as you can see, this person is stocky. They're a fighter, so of course they're strong and they have muscles, but it is a great descriptive word and very specific as well. To give you a little more context, here are some news headlines. Police want to speak with stocky man after cash and jewelry stolen from Bristol home. Surprise on the trail. Stocky puma in Patagonia shocks hikers. And in case you're wondering, well, what does this puma look like? Here is a picture of this stocky puma. And I think it is quite accurate.
What up, fat turd? Not a fat turd, I'm a stocky turd.
Yeah, I have a thing for Marissa Tomei. Like she would ever go out with a short, stocky, bald man. Like that's her type.
Then we have petite. This means small and delicate. Often you may use this word when talking about a woman. I could say, despite her petite stature, she commanded the room with confidence. A side note, you may also hear people use this word when talking about a clothing size for smaller women, petite. Here are some more examples.
I think I had too much to drink.
You are very petite.
Just fun fact, the national average size is actually 12, so you're very petite.
I think if I were going to be with a woman, it'd be with someone like Michelle, because she was so petite.
Prominent. Great word. This is used to describe features, such as a nose or chin, without judgment. So this is an incredibly useful word because often if you are highlighting somebody's facial feature, it may have a positive or negative connotation. So in this case, you can use this word to simply say that something is noticeable. I could say he had a prominent nose that gave his face character. To give you a visual, and I think this is a fun example, if you search prominent nose animal overwhelmingly, you are going to discover the proboscis monkey. This monkey has a prominent nose.
I'm not sure I want to eat my own face.
I almost did on the way over here.
The lips are very prominent.
What a beautiful child. Prominent forehead, short arms, tiny nose.
Next is the adjective slender. This is used to describe someone who is thin and graceful. And often you'll use this when talking about a woman. I could say her slender waist was accentuated by the fitted dress she wore. And there are many collocations with this word, perhaps talking about someone's slender build, or slender figure, or slender waist, or slender legs. Many things can be slender.
Used to call me the chameleon because of my slender frame and my big wet eyes.
I never realized you had such long, slender legs.
Then there's unassuming. This describes someone whose appearance does not draw attention. So someone could have an unassuming look or even unassuming behavior. Just keep that in mind. Maybe I tell you she had an unassuming appearance that made her blend into the crowd. In this case, I'm talking about her look. Or despite his success, he remained unassuming and humble. Now I'm referring to his behavior. Let's have a look at some other video examples.
And here he is, this week's Noble Nobody.
What the? A quiet, unassuming security guard who foiled a robbery at a local tavern.
Look, I'm a simple, unassuming janitor who can control people's actions with his mind.
But I understand he's a perfectly charming man. Tremendously talented and yet modest and unassuming.
And last but not least, let's talk about some words that have a negative connotation. And we'll start with the adjective disheveled. So you would use this word to describe someone who has a messy or untidy appearance. And you could use it when talking about a man or woman. I could say after the long flight, they stepped off the plane looking tired and disheveled. And after a long flight, I certainly look disheveled. To give you some more examples, here are some animals that look disheveled. I don't know what their excuse is. I don't know why they look disheveled, but it's a great visual for this word, disheveled.
I have a perfect right to be a bit disheveled.
So he shows up, he's all out of breath, he's disheveled, and he tells me that no matter what happens, whatever I decide is fine with him.
Is that Gregory? Did he look like disheveled?
Hello, Mindy. You're looking more disheveled than usual today.
Then we have the word haggard. This is used to describe someone who is worn out or exhausted in appearance. And I like this word, even though it has a negative connotation. I think it's one that we can all relate to. I'm sure at some point in your life, you can think of a time when you looked haggard. Here's me, looking haggard. I don't know why I have the handlebar mustache, but it's the best example that I could find of myself looking haggard. To give you a sentence, I could say, he looked haggard after working night shifts. Here are some other examples.
You look terrible. Haggard.
Thank you. I have been incredibly unwell.
And doesn't Clark look a little haggard to you? Yeah. You know, like he's been up all night thinking about something like a dog trapped in a cage.
Scruffy. This describes someone who is untidy and even, looks a little dirty. Now, often you're going to use this when talking about a man, referring to his hair or even his face. I could say, the scruffy man on the bench looked like he hadn't shaved in weeks. Now, you may be wondering, what's the difference between disheveled and scruffy? So I would say that disheveled is really referring to someone's overall appearance as being untidy, whereas scruffy, to me, it's more specific. You're referring to someone's hair or just they haven't shaved. So that being said, I would still say that you could use them interchangeably if you just want to say that someone needs to clean up.
I would expect more from them than a scruffy face, poor hygiene, and your grotesque simian proportions.
How older could he possibly look? A lot. He's usually a little scruffy, and then the baseball cap hides the funky hair thing.
You haven't seen my mate Howard, have you? Kind of tall, scruffy hair.
Then we have frail. This is used to describe someone who is weak or unhealthy. Now, most of the time you're going to use this adjective to talk about someone who is older or even ill. I could say, the frail old woman clutched her cane as she moved slowly across the room. So this is really a great word if you want to add emphasis.
I was helpless, blind, frail.
Though frail and extremely thin, his fighting spirit was still intact.
If Dad wakes up and he's frail and he's looking at the end game, you want to be the one who tells him his family business isn't family run anymore?
Next is the adjective tattered. This refers to wearing torn or ragged clothing. And just keep in mind that we are specifically talking about clothing. I could say the traveler's tattered clothing hinted at a long journey. Now, I'll be honest, I think some of my clothes, you could say that my clothes are tattered, and I don't care. I like my old clothes, even though some people, such as my wife, would describe them as tattered.
Oh, my tattered rags are caught on your coffee table.
Because chicks want guys that wear tight pants and tattered clothing and spit blood.
You will wind up wearing tattered shoes if you mess with Mr. Boo.
Then we have slouch. Now this word is different from all the others because it has a different part of speech. All of our other words were adjectives, whereas slouch can be either a verb or a noun, and it's very descriptive. As a verb, it means to stand, move, or sit in a lazy, drooping way. I could say the model was told not to slouch on the runway and maintain good posture. As a noun, it really has the same meaning, referring to a lazy, drooping posture or movement. His constant slouch made him appear less confident than he really was. Most often, you're going to use this as a verb, perhaps even giving someone a command and telling them, don't slouch, or stop slouching, or you shouldn't slouch.
You're slouching. Is that how you've been presenting yourself to the world?
Don't slouch. Wouldn't that fall under the stand-up straight category?
Now your mom can see you work from her house.
Seymour, stop slouching!
Now, if you would like to see more of my effervescent smile and broad shoulders, you can check out another video lesson and keep building your vocabulary. I promise that I will not wear any tattered clothing, and I promise not to slouch, but I may look a little haggard. I don't know. It happens to the best of us. But you can also practice using these words and describe yourself down below in the comments because I love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this lesson and learned something new, you can let me know by hitting that like button. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. So long.